Hello and welcome to Roll for Topic, a roundtable discussion about topics related to running role-playing games. I'm Chris Salzman.
And I'm Andy Rao.
Andy, I realize that I am drinking my tea this morning out of a mist mug, an official branded mist mug. And my T-shirt right now, I don't know if you can see this, is a Blueprints themed T-shirt,
Oh
knockoff T-shirt
my.
that I got. So I'm not really like a I don't know, like buy the merch sort of person, but apparently today I'm fully repping the like PC puzzle game space.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me, is that mug, was that like you went to a website and purchased a mist mug, or did that like come with your copy of Riven in
Oh man, no, I wish.
1998 or
No,
something?
this was recently Cyan started doing more merchandise. So I got this as like I think a Father's Day or a birthday gift from from my wife after I probably sent her the exact link and said like please get me please get me this. I like it's a good quality mug and I like drinking from it, and I also really love seeing sort of like who recognizes it for what it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you at work meetings, you consciously hold it up so
Yes.
that the words are facing
Yeah,
the
it's like I'm
just
in like a Coca-Cola ad, like with the make sure the
right.
label's facing out. Um,
I was going to say for the last, I would say 25 years, my mouse pad has been a map of the Sword Coast that
yes.
that came with Neverwinter Nights. So
Yes. That's wonderful. Yeah,
yeah.
it's yeah, again, like I'm not really like a have merchandise, like officially licensed merchandise stuff everywhere, but it is kind of fun too to have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little like I will tell you that I've been wearing this Blueprint shirt probably for a couple months. Zero people have asked me what it is or recognized it out in the
Yeah,
world, but I know I'm going to find someone and we're just going to be like one of those like, okay, we're best friends now. That
yeah,
you've
yeah.
recognized this.
I feel like we've passed the window where it's kind of cool to wear a merch shirt.
Hmm.
20 years ago, if I saw you wearing a Fallout shirt and I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it, like
yeah.
that would be a special connection that we had.
Hmm.
But I don't know. The magic doesn't isn't quite there as much.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think I know we've talked about this.
Blueprints, the magic would be there because you're
Uh,
one of, like
yeah,
maybe 300 people in this
yes,
estate that have played it, right? So,
yeah, yeah. There's a, and I know we've talked about this before, but like it is still wild to me, like walking, walking my kids to school, and I see like other kids wearing like Super Mario Brothers backpacks or Fortnite backpacks and stuff like
yeah.
that. Just like I grew up in the era where you had to be shy and like embarrassed by your hobbies, and
Yes,
not
yes,
like not put them
absolutely.
on display.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's it's great, right? It's just very different, but it also is like it doesn't feel like so much like of a nerdy thing that you're doing to sort of suss out who else is out there. These
Right. Yeah.
days, it's much more of a just like, oh yeah, this is just like a game that I like, so I got the official T-shirt or the unofficial
Yeah,
one in my
that's right.
case.
Well,
Yeah.
I will confirm that with all of your branded content, where you're looking good.
Thanks.
The style of all that corporate owned IP
Yeah.
fits well. So
Yeah, it's good. I'm also wearing a hat right now that just says Midwest on it. So if you if you need to
okay.
know what my personal brand is,
I've been
that's
trying to read what that said for the last
yeah.
couple minutes. So okay.
Yeah, it's made by Jute Mode down in Toledo, Ohio. So uh,
Okay.
anyway, okay, that's enough about my clothing choices for today. So Andy, we're gonna have a little bit of a freewheeling conversation today. So the
Okay.
first thing that I wanted to talk to you about specifically is Daggerheart. So this is
Yeah.
the latest game. Is it published by Darrington Press or is it published by? Is it just a lot of Darrington Press people are involved in it? I'm not quite sure, but
Uh, I don't know. I
yeah.
thought it was Darrington Press, but I could be
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah.
The behemoth that is the Critical Role
Yes.
system is be a little bit beyond my grasp. So
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
I own a copy of this, by the
Okay.
way, and
Yeah.
I I vetoed using it for an upcoming game I'm going to run, not because it doesn't look super fun, but
Mm.
just because there's too many other games that are also super fun right now.
Oh,
So
that's interesting. Yeah, I want to come back to that in just a little bit.
okay,
I'll kind of tell you why I brought it up. So
yeah,
I just went to a session 0 for starting a small campaign in that run by Jess of Splatbook. John Corey of Splatbook is also there, and then some other folks that I won't name because they don't have they don't have podcasts necessarily, but
yeah,
they're friends of the podcast. Yeah, so we got together to do character creation in Daggerheart, and like I had just an absolute blast, right? Like
Oh,
of
that's
course
awesome.
it's, you know, partly like mostly I think because of the table itself. Like
Sure,
we're all
yeah.
friends, get along really
That's
well.
always gonna be, like, 85% of the
I
fun,
know,
right?
right? Yeah. But the actual character creation itself was like, you know, just really engaging. I mean, right, like so you got character sheets and stuff, but like as you I don't know if you got like the deluxe version of the game or not, but it comes with there's a version that comes with a bunch of cards.
It does. I think that's
Yep.
actually the only version, I
Oh,
think,
okay.
like, which is a bold move, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
That's a really
So,
bold. Yeah.
yes, I have the version that has a bunch of cards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah. I'm probably gonna end up buying it. Yeah. So anyway, it was funny, right? It's the table is full of you know, a bunch of GMs too. Right. So like we all show up and like three people have the books with the cards and stuff that they put, they put down on the table. Of course, and I'm just,
Yes.
like I just showed up with like a like you know a notebook and that was it. And
Right,
like
right.
everybody else has the full rule set and all the cards and stuff. But yeah, so I mean you go through like you're answering questions, but answering questions and making your character sheet and stuff. But you also like you have cards that are associated with everything
Yeah.
too. So I think you could like randomize it that way if you wanted to, just drawing cards from the deck to make your character, or you can just you
Mhm.
know get those and then it kind of gives you the information too. It's a really interesting way to approach it, and like it satisfies that sort of like I don't know, like Magic the Gathering desire that I think we all have in our hearts of like holding
Yeah.
representative cards and stuff too. Yeah, so I mean I loved it, right? Like it was really fun like figuring out like you know what kind of you know our character you know races, like what kind of beings and stuff we were, and like our classes and like the subclasses and stuff too. In a lot of ways it felt like this really good mixture between something more like Blades in the Dark but then also D&D, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of crunch there, but it also isn't like so crunchy that you're like you know assigning, you know, you're not rolling like you know you're not rolling like you know 46 dropping the lowest and like doing that sort of stuff. It's just you're just
Right, right.
assigning sort of your bonuses to your various skills and stuff. Yeah, so it was cool. And then I think what I my favorite part of it is when we finally got down to like there's some like more specific questions for connections that you answer in between all the players, and like that's where stuff really started to come alive because we had done all this work to come up with our characters and
Hmm.
stuff, and then you turn around and the way it's designed is you have like three questions I think each, and you ask each of those questions of someone else at the table, right?
Sure.
And they get to answer, and so some of those affect sort of your character, some of them affect their character too. But by the time we were done with asking those questions, we just all had such like a good sense I think of like the sorts of characters we were and like how we might know each other and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. Like and none of this is groundbreaking in that like other games do this. I think even D&D has bonds
Yeah.
and stuff, but I found the process of like how those got introduced really good, and like the questions themselves are were also sort of tied to the classes as well versus being a little bit more generic.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yep.
like yeah, so I'm playing sort of a cleric style person, right? So a lot of my questions are about like you know my god, right, in the pantheon
Yeah.
there. Yeah, so super fun. The character I ended up making was a well, you know in Dark Souls there's these like mushroom guys that you fight.
Yes.
Yes, so like
Yes.
they're kind of like big, they're like humanoid size, you know, mushrooms that, that run around. So I realized as I was making this character, I'm like, oh, I'm just making one of those guys as my character. So I'm yeah,
That's
this
great.
like this fungal mushroom, right? Who has yeah, like yeah, he carries a big branch from a cherry tree as his weapon, right? So
Okay.
it's yeah, yeah.
In Dark Souls, I never wanna fight those guys.
I never
It's
want to
like,
fight them either.
come on,
I
like
think that's why I gravitated towards them.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, super fun, right? And everybody else's characters are like, yeah, really engaging. I'm just like, I'm very excited. And so we basically just spent like 2 hours or so just making characters. There's still like a little bit of work to do, and then Jess has this really great world for us to play in, an adventure planned.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, my hot take right now is like I think it's super great. I am cautiously optimistic that there'll be enough crunch there to sort of satisfy that like D&D itch, but also not
Yeah.
so much that we'll get kind of
Yeah.
overwhelmed with it. Yeah, it seems to really it's drawing on lessons from all sorts of different game systems and trying to put them together. Like we kept on making jokes like, oh, like this is just Fate, right? Like this part is just
Yeah.
Fate, or like this part is just Blaze in the Dark, or this part is D&D, or like you know whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
Yeah.
they're like the good if it works, it's a credible game that takes the best of other systems and
Mhm.
puts it into coherent whole. If it doesn't work great, it's just a Frankenstein,
Yeah.
every favorite feature just slapped on, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, and probably it will be somewhere in the middle, which is probably as it should be, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean the pedigree of the folks who put it together is good enough that I think it will end up working out pretty well.
Yep.
Part of me wonders because I know there's a lot of like Wizards of the Coast folks who ended up going over to work with
Yes.
Critical Role. I'm wondering if this is sort of the game they've been wanting to make for sixth edition D&D, right? Like or like if there's some lessons and stuff that they learned from D&D that they're trying to bring in there. But again, I don't know timelines of who's involved when or anything
Yeah.
like that. This is just
Y- y-
speculation on my part.
this is something I've been thinking about recently because there was a new Cypher system Kickstarter that I made my saving throw and didn't
Yeah.
back it. Although now that all crowdfunding is just eternal, like I
Yes,
think you
it
could
doesn't
still
really
go
matter.
back
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but Numenera and Cypher, like, and I feel like in the last 15 years, there has been this trend of like respected designers leaving the D&D space or some other big corporate space and releasing a game that seems to have the goal of like I want to make a game that plays the way you want D&D to play,
Mhm. Yeah,
not the way that it actually does. And again,
yeah,
I'm not edition warring here. I don't play whatever you want. It's all great.
yeah.
But like, so I remember when Monty Cook was designing Numenera, and he's this massively influential designer, mostly of best known for third edition D&D, which is this behemoth. It's a crunchy system and stuff. And then he releases the game, and it's like, yeah, this is, and I believe he said some things to the effect of like, this is how I actually play D&D, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and I get that sense a little bit from like Daggerheart. I could name a couple of other games like Rob Schwalb left the like D20 world and made Shadow the Demon Lord and a couple of other games that also like took ideas from D&D, but they did have that sense of like, what do you actually do at the table? Let's just have the rules cover that and not
Mhm.
have stuff that you're going to wind up ignoring or maybe bumping against and having friction with. So,
Yeah, yeah, I think part of me wonders too, like, this is a little bit more philosophical, is if, like right, like, D&D is sort of the vocabulary that we have to describe the sorts of play that we enjoy, right? So, like, when we talk about, like, "Oh, like, this is how I wanna play," like, "This is how my group plays D&D," it's really just like, D&D is just like the word that we're associating with this style of getting together to play make believe, right? It's
yeah.
like I mean, if you like I don't know, like a cops and robbers sort of thing, right? Like with when kids are playing that game, it's like that game might look different depending on the play group, but we all sort of just call it that sort of thing, right?
Hmm.
Like so in some ways it's like you're writing out this rule set, and it's like it's really just sort of getting at like this is what the parts of it that I really enjoy. Right, and D&D is just another expression of that too. So like yeah, like I mean I get the impulse. I think it is like you just sort of end up having to relate it back to Dungeons and Dragons just because it is such a
Yeah.
gigantic cultural juggernaut, right? So it's like yeah, do I think that Daggerheart is going to fully supplant D&D? Probably not. Although it might for me, right? Like it might be like
Right. Sure. Yeah.
anytime someone's like, "Oh, hey, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons." Like, okay, yeah, like, let's play, but we're going to just use this rule set, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
this is just the one we're going to use. For other people, that's Pathfinder. For other people, that's the Cipher system. For other people, it's like some absolutely homebrew thing, right? Like some heartbreaker that they wrote that no one bought a copy of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just yeah. So I mean, I'm all for it. I do also think that like we're hitting this point where like all of the backlash right to the OGL stuff a couple years ago, like all that stuff has started to come to fruition. I think
Yes.
at this point, right? And so like this is the other thing that I wanted to mention to you is so you and me and a handful of other people have been talking about getting a draw steel campaign
Yeah.
going. So this
Yeah.
is the MCDM. Um, I guess it was a backer kit, not a Kickstarter, right? That they
Hmm.
they put out, 2 or 3 years ago at this point that I had 100% forgotten that I had backed at,
Same
some
here. I
some
know. I
absurd
got a
level.
shipping email and I was
Yeah,
like, what? It's like,
yeah, I know. I think I went in for like the $100 level too. It's like, oh, okay, I should
yeah.
I should really remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they asked me to
And
pay for
yeah,
shipping.
please let that have been charged to me 3 years ago and
Yes,
not like right this
I
week.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like I think that was my exact thought too. It's like, well, if you're gonna charge me for it, I think I might just cancel it. But like, yeah. Anyway, so I mean, that's coming to me, and like, I mean, I'm remembering now, and we can probably go back and even listen to the podcast around that time too, and just like sort of hear what we were talking about, like all of these projects kind of starting out of that like frustration and depression about like, D&D sort of changing,
Yeah.
like are now coming out. And it's like, it's like just because it takes time to develop a system and get it finalized and then get it off and printed and all that sort of stuff, right? So like I do wonder what the next 5 years will sort of hold for
Yeah.
the gaming space, right? Because if it does get to the point where we have these super solid systems, Draw Steel, Daggerheart, whatever, take your pick of stuff that like it satisfies that D&D hole in our hearts. It's like, it could make the hobby very interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Like I do think
Yeah.
you'll still sort of see, D&D is always going to be kind of dominant for a while at least, but I think you'll see more people experimenting with more styles of play.
I think so too. And I don't want to keep beating this topic, but I think it's interesting that when the OGL fiasco came out, no one definitively stepped in with a game that was already out to like become the main alternative, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you've got Pathfinder. I'm sure Pathfinder did well for itself in the wake of the OGL stuff.
Hmm.
And I saw a lot of other companies like, hey, try basic role playing. Hey, maybe this is the time of that GURPS is going to come back, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And that didn't happen. And like you say, instead, that prompted a lot of people to go make the game that in a different timeline was there already when D&D owners screwed up.
Yeah.
There was no Daggerheart then. There was no Draw Steel. There was no whatever. So
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting. I mean, and the hobby's in a different place. Wizards. I think Wizards has had like a what appears to be like 150% turnover since
Yes. Yeah.
then. So
Yeah.
who knows what's going on with D&D these days? But it's the furor has subsided.
Hmm.
Corporate apologies have been issued. But now we are getting what feels like, I mean, it feels like a very good time to be in the market for a D&D-ish game, right?
Hmm.
There's the
Yeah.
ones we've mentioned. I'm sure there's several that we're forgetting to mention. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's all very exciting. More
Yeah.
more is better, right? I mean,
Yeah.
more is better.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was at John Corey of Splatbook. I was at his house when he got a shipment of a Kickstarter that he had backed for the Dolmenwood
Oh yes.
system.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he went like all in on it as well, and like just looking at all the stuff that it came with, it's like this is a total complete system. Like this
Yeah.
is that you could just play this, right? This could be your game that you
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
forever, right? There's stacks of books and GM screen and dice bag and dice and like all this stuff, and it's like it looked so cool, like as he's as he's pulling stuff out, and it's just like I mean, right? Like when I started in this hobby, like I'm sure these things existed, but like we've gotten to the point where like you can really manufacture sort of a
Yeah.
complete everything, right? Like, yeah, and I don't know how or when that started to change in such a way, but it is like there's something there. I don't know what it is necessarily, right? But it's like there's something to that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
like I just really wonder, like for my kids, right, will they grow up and they will gravitate towards right some system, just like some people had to just play GURPS or whatever, right? And it's just gonna be like
Hmm.
that is their thing that they play. That's what they take to college and convince all their friends to play. And then it's
Yeah.
like, oh hey, remember when we played that Dolmenwood campaign? Like let's do that again, right? Like there's Dolmenwood third edition, right?
Yep. Yep.
In the future. So like it's all really cool. Like I mean, I like it. I also don't think the patterns that we've had thus far need to continue on into the
Yeah.
future. But yeah, like I mean, it's an exciting time, and like yeah, so like I'm excited to try Daggerheart. I'm excited to try Draw Steel when we get a chance to play it. I would also be excited if like all of a sudden I got enough motivation to run a D&D campaign. It's like yeah,
Hmm.
just like there's a cornucopia of delights and options out there. Yeah, so I don't know, it's pretty cool. I mean, so question for you, right? Like, so you're the one who sort of started the text the thread about running Draw Steel. Like, is there anything
Yes.
about that system that like is really grabbing you, or is it just like, hey, we're all getting the books anyway? we should try to play this thing.
No. So I liked D&D Fourth Edition.
Hmm.
Draw Steel's strongest single influence. I'm not saying this is the only influence.
Hmm.
Is D&D Fourth Edition.
Okay.
Because D&D Fourth Edition, it had cards, it had magic. Your character abilities were Magic the Gathering style things that you played and you comboed with other people in the party, and
Hmm.
um, they it was a really uh, you know tactical board gamey experience, and your power, it did something interesting that I think is a little hard to articulate. It it scaled down your powers to fairly boring sounding game board effects. Like
Yeah.
the power is called, whatever, Winds of Hades, and it pushes something two spaces
Yeah.
away, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But when everyone is paying attention and playing their card, and you push it here, and then that will bring it into range of my lashing whip that can pull it off of this terrain feature. When everyone is on fire, it's like it was a magical experience.
Hmm, yeah.
And Draw Steel seems to have a lot of that. I'm also drawn. I I I like Draw Steel's kind of thesis statement that you are really epic heroes. I
Mm,
don't know if you've flipped through the PDFs or whatever, but like your character, you take like character quirks and advantages and stuff, and they're not things like you're really charismatic, so you get a +2. They're things
okay.
like your character doesn't have a head, like, or you're a part Medusa whose gaze turns everyone to stone. I mean,
Yeah.
like, there are these really over the top stuff. You would be the only person in the game setting probably that has these like really over the top features.
Yeah.
Seriously, flip through them. It
Okay.
was wildly entertaining. I almost sent you a bunch of screenshots of like get a load of
Huh.
these like
Okay.
special character quirks or whatever. So I just appreciate that. I know D&D in its 5th edition era, it does slant towards the heroic end of the hobby, but you're still a level 1 person with like 7 hit points, and
Mhm.
you're going to be fighting rats for quite a while, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of appreciate a game that's like, let's skip the rats. You're here, like in session 1, you are, that's the devil is over there, and you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
were so I appreciate that. 13th Age went did some I think laid some groundwork that Draw Steel is building on here, so I want to
Mm,
give credit there. But
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, it's interesting.
does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I'm unsurprised to hear about those quirks, and then also knowing that Kyle Latino at least play tested that game and, and
Oh
enjoyed it quite a
yes.
bit. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yes.
yeah, this is all sort of making sense because he's maximalist in all the best ways. Yeah, that's interesting. I should have cracked that PDF open. I generally have a policy of like I don't really care about PDFs of games. Like just give me the book. But
Yeah.
I might have to read that one at least until I get the book in my hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it is interesting, right? Because it is like a very it sounds like it's a very different flavor
Mhm.
from like what D&D is
Yeah,
right
it's just
now.
like starting a D&D campaign, but you're at level 10 instead
Yeah,
of level 1, right? I mean,
yeah,
you're not godlike, but you
hmm,
are. I don't know, it's just different,
yeah,
and sometimes I'm in the mood for that. Sometimes I'm more in the mood for like, give me a a brutal slog,
yeah.
a brutal slog with a bunch of low level characters. That's fun too, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It was like I generally don't like super like crunchy stuff at the table in my role playing games, but I mean like I mean you're talking about like pushing stuff and like people being ready. Like one of my favorite games ever is Final Fantasy Tactics, right? It's a
hmm.
tactics
Yep.
sort of style. Like so there's you can push people like right like it's got a lot of that sort of stuff built into it. Yeah, so like I mean that is compelling to me like if it can work well at the table and like everybody's on board like that sounds like a ton of fun
Yeah.
too, right? If you can start to just kind of break the game a little bit or break at least the expectations of the GM about how
Yeah.
how things are going to go. Yeah.
When it works really well, and you get that great board game experience. We're all working together. We're all
Hmm.
complementing each other's stuff. That like what it like the downside of it is, like if you played early D&D, the invisibility spell was just like, okay, you're invisible.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that mean in combat? What does that mean outside of combat? That's not you figure it out, right? Figure
Yeah.
it out at the
Yeah. Yeah.
table. 4th edition D&D's invisibility spell was like you have a +5 to
Oh yeah.
stealth checks. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it didn't have that. By defining it purely in terms of what it would do on the game board, it
Hmm.
sort of took away some of the. It didn't encourage you to like use it outside of the context of like a battle. So
Yeah.
that is one of the points of friction I always had with 4th edition was this really fun tactical game that felt really divorced from like the fantasy of having all these powers in a
Yeah.
narrative way. And
Yeah.
so I don't know how Draw Steel handles it because I haven't finished reading through it, but I am interested if they have found a way to like not lose yeah, you're invisible. What are you gonna do while you're invisible? Be creative. I
Mm,
I would love to find out that they have not lost that. Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Were in like fourth edition, was there ever like okay, so like you're invisible, it's +5 to your stealth checks or whatever. Like, did they ever go a little like nutty with it where it's like, oh, you've got actually +99 to your your stealth checks or something like that? Or was it always pretty well like grounded
No.
in that is like nothing would be game breaking?
So the watchword of that era of D&D was balance,
Mm,
and so it had a very Magic the Gathering, this very magic-y sense of, like, nothing can be too good. Like, everything has to work together, nothing can, like, really call too much attention to itself as
yeah,
far as powers go.
yeah,
So, no, it did I don't there wasn't much that went wild. I'd never played a high level campaign, so by
yeah,
then, I'm sure you're slinging around gigantic numbers,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah.
It's yeah, it's like yeah, I mean, there's something to that. I mean, like I am I'm like the opposite of interested in like min-maxed characters in any
Mhm.
system, right? So like you showed me like, oh, like here's how to make the perfect like rogue build in D&D fifth edition. It's like nothing about that is going to be like
Right, right.
compelling to me in any capacity. But if there was a really tactical like board game miniatures section to it, I think my tune might change change
Yes,
there,
yes.
right? Because it's like yeah, if you have someone who is going to that like, oh, how do I min max this to make me like the most effective killer on the battlefield, and you're not doing that, it's like the story can only kind of take you so far
Yes,
to be
yes.
engaged in that when it's like okay, well, I just failed again, right? Just failed again in my role, or like I pushed him, or like I wasn't able to do the thing after you pushed him, right? Like that sort of stuff I think would break down pretty fast for me. um
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it really sings when everyone is playing the same game.
Hmm.
If you have someone there that couldn't possibly care less about the numbers on their sheet and they're just here to role play and have a good time,
Hmm.
and you have somebody else that's, meticulously charting the optimum power to play each turn, like
Yeah.
those are people playing two different games, and it's unlikely that whatever system you're doing is going to equally make both of those people happy, right?
Yes, yeah, that's true. All right, well, we need to wrap it up here. Yeah, thanks for going on that little journey.
Yeah,
I
thanks for
Yeah.
just having a kind of open-ended chat. This is fun.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's good. Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot, just with yeah, just the kind of this post OGL, like the landscape of gaming feels like it's shifting a little bit. So
Yes, it
it's
does.
cool. Yeah, and I'm glad that we're finally getting a chance to try some of these too. So,
Yep.
all right, well, I think that does it for us. Again, we've been Roll for Topic. You can listen to our sister show, The Splat Book, with John Corey, with Ben, and with Jess, over at thesplatbook.com. They have had like I think 2 episodes in the past few weeks after a little bit of a hiatus. So I'm
Yeah.
behind, but yeah, you can go check them out. They're of course all really great. Like I just mentioned, I'm currently playing a game with them, so of course I'm a
Yes.
bit biased, but yeah, I do love that podcast. It's really good. So you can also go listen to John and Andy on Zombie Strains as well. They are yeah, they just keep going. There is the movie that you guys just did. You said that there's actually that I might actually enjoy quite a bit, and I
I
cannot
think
remember
so.
the name of
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
it's the first Roger Corman movie.
Mm,
He's a famous sort of B
yeah.
horror director,
Yeah.
and it's he did a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe adaptations in the 60s. So this
Yeah.
is one of them.
Okay.
And it was
That
it was
is
fun.
yeah. Yep, that's absolutely gonna be my sort of jam. I love reading Edgar Allan Poe. I should actually probably do a little bit of that, especially around Halloween. But yeah, I
Oh,
mean, I
that'd
love
be
all the
perfect,
short
yeah.
stories. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, well, you can go check them out. Just yeah, search for Zombie Strains. I'm sure you can find them pretty
Yep.
easily, but it's a great podcast. Yeah, so I think that does it for us. I've been Chris Salzman.
I've been Andy Rao.
And remember, if your players are having fun, you're a great GM.